for all to know if the month was a 29-day month or a 30-day month for reasons stated in the Mishnah. So the Mishnah says, Al Shisha Chadashim Shluchim Yotzim, there were 6 months, the Shluchim of Bezin, they were sent out to notify everyone when Rosh Chodesh was. Al Nisan Bnei Pesach, they were sent out at the beginning of Nisan to tell everyone when Pesach is. Everyone had to know when Rosh Chodesh was to know when to calculate when Pesach was. And these Shluchim would be sent out right after Rosh Chodesh was established, and they would travel as far as they could get, all the way into Galus, all the way into the diaspora. They would not travel on Shabbos, Rashi says, but they would travel as far as they could get so that everyone could know when Pesach is. Al Av Bnei Hatainis, they were sent out at the beginning of Av so that everyone could know when Tisha B'Av is. Al El Bnei Rosh Hashanah, they were sent out at the beginning of El so that everyone could know when Rosh Hashanah is. El was almost always a 29-day month, and people needed to know when the first day of El was so they could celebrate Rosh Hashanah 30 days later. Al Tishrei, messengers were sent out at the beginning of Tishrei Bnei Takanas HaMoedes in order to be set up the rest of the Moedes in Tishrei, namely Yom Kippur and Sukkot. Al Kislev Bnei Chanukah, they were sent out at the beginning of Kislev so people could know when Chanukah is. Al Adar Bnei Apurim, they were sent out on Adar so everyone could know when Purim is. Ochshei Beis HaMikdash Kaiman, when we had the Beis HaMikdash, Yotzin Afal Ir, they would also be sent out at the beginning of Ir Bnei Pesach Katan so everyone could know when Pesach Katan is. Ask the Gemara, V'lipku Nami at Tammuz v'Teves, why weren't they sent out during Tammuz and Teves so that everyone could know when the fasts of Tammuz and Teves were? And how do we know that there's fast days then? Yud Ches on Beis HaTab, the Amar of Chana Rabbeis, the Amar of Shimon Chasida, he says, Ma Techsev, what's pshat in the pasuk? The Navi Zecharia tells us, Koyam Arsham Tzvakas, Tzom HaRavi, V'Tzom HaChamishi, V'Tzom HaShvi, V'Tzom HaAsiri, the fast are the 4th, the 5th, the 7th, and the 10th, Yel Beis Yehuda L'Sason L'Simcha, they're going to be for Beis Yehuda, meaning for Klal Yisrael, for Sason and Simcha, Karlu Tzayim, V'Karlu Sason and Simcha. So the pasuk calls them Tzayim, fast days, and also calls them Sason and Simcha, days of rejoicing. So how do we understand the seeming contradiction? Bisman Shei Shalom, at a time when there's peace, when Klal Yisrael rules Eretz Yisrael, Yul Sason and Simcha, so then these days are for Sason and Simcha, and you're not allowed to fast, and you're not allowed to eulogize on them. Ain Shalom, if there's no peace, so then Tzayim, we have to fast on them. So we see that these are fast days. The Beis HaMikdash is destroyed. These are fast days. Why don't we send out messengers at this time to tell people when these fast days are? So Amar Papa, he says, this is really what we're saying. Bisman Shei Shalom, when there's a time of peace, Yul Sason and Simcha, so then they're for Sason and Simcha, you're not allowed to fast on them. Yesh Gzeres Malchus, only if there's Gzeres Malchus, if there is a decree of persecution against Klal Yisrael, then Tzayim, then they're a fast day. But Ein Gzeres HaMalchus, if there's no decree of persecution, Ve'ein Shalom, but there's also no peace, meaning Klal Yisrael is not ruling the land, Ratu Misan, Ratu Ein Misanin, then if people want, they could fast, but they do not have to, and therefore there's no reason to send out messengers for something which is optional. Ask the Gemara, Ihachi, if you're telling me that we're talking about a time period where these fast days are optional, so Tisha B'Av Nami, Tisha B'Av as well, should be considered an optional fast day, and why are we sending out messengers to tell everyone when Tisha B'Av is? So Rav Papa answers, Shani Tisha B'Av is different, since there's many tzars on Tisha B'Av, therefore we always have to fast on Tisha B'Av. The Amar Mari says, but Tisha B'Av Charav Habayis Barishanu B'Shniya, the first and second Batei Mikdash were destroyed on Tisha B'Av, V'nilka de Beitar, and Beitar was conquered, and V'nechashar Yerushalayim was plowed over, so therefore we always fast on Tisha B'Av. And delving deeper into this pasuk from Navi Zecharia that we just quoted, Tanya Evabrisa, Amar Shimon, he says, Arbad Varm Hayu Rabbi Kiva Darish, Rabbi Kiva Darshan 4 things, V'ani Ein Darish Kamaisei, I don't necessarily darshan all of them like him. Tzaymer Revi Zet Haspatamah, the Tzaymer Revi that's mentioned in this pasuk is referring to the 9th of Tammuz, Shabai Huvka Ir, that's when the city was breached. This is after the destruction of the first Beis HaMikdash. Shenamar says in the pasuk, Baravi, Batish L'Chodesh, on the 4th month, on the 9th of the month, Vayachzak Harav Be'ir, and the hunger intensified in the city, V'loi Ha'alechem L'Ama Aretz, and there was no bread for the people of the land, Vatibokal Ir, and the city was breached into. V'mai Karle Revi, so why is it being called 4th? Revi L'Chodesh, and that means it's the 4th of the month. Tzaymer Chamishi, what's that being referred to in the pasuk? Zatish B'Av, that's Tisha B'Av, Shabai Nisav Beis Elkeinu, that's when the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. V'mai Karle Chamishi, why is it being called the fast of the 5th? Chamishi L'Chodesh, and that means it's the 5th of the month. Tzaymer Hashabi, the fast of the 7th, Zegimel B'Tishrei, that's the 3rd of Tishrei, Shabai Ner Gedali Ben Achikam, that's when Gedali Ben Achikam was killed. Umi Haragai, who killed him? Yishmael Ben Nesanya Haragai, he was killed by Yishmael Ben Nesanya, a fellow Jew. L'amedcha, to teach you Sheshkul Misasun Shal Tzadikim, Kisrefas Beis Elkeinu, that the death of Tzadikim is like the burning of Hashem's house, and that's why we're going to fast in this situation that a Tzadik died. And V'mai Karle Shvi, why is it being called 7? Shvi L'Chadash, and it's the 7th of the month. And Tzayim HaAsiri Asar B'Teves is referring to Asar B'Teves, Shabai Samach Melch Bavel Yushalayim, that's when the king of Bavel surrounded Yushalayim, he besieged the city. Shenamar says the pasuk, Vayidvar Hashem Elai B'Shana HaChis B'Chodesh HaAsiri Be'Esar L'Chodesh Lemar, and the word of Hashem was to me in the 9th year, the 10th month, the 10th of the month, saying, Ben Adam, son of man, Ksav L'Chaz Shem Hayom, write for yourself the name of this day as Etzavayim Azah, on this very day, Samach Melch Bavel Yushalayim, the king of Bavel surrounded Yushalayim. Now, V'mai Karle Asiri, why is it being called 10th? The same question we've asked before. Asiri L'Chadashim, it's the 10th of the month. And now that we understand that this last fast that was mentioned in the pasuk is actually talking about Asar B'Teves, which is when the walls were surrounded. It should have been written first because chronologically it happened first. Why is it written over here? Why is it written last in the pasuk? That's Kedei L'Hasr Chadashim Keteknon, in order to organize the months. Meaning, as we go through the months of our year, this is where we encounter the fast days, even though chronologically it's out of order. Now, I Reb Shimon, I don't say that about this last fast day. What's the Tzayim HaAsiri? This fast of the 10th. Zechamisha B'Teves. That's the 5th of Teves. Shabai Bas Shmuel L'Gaila. That's when the news came to all those that were exiled 11 years prior to the Beis HaMikdash, Shokso a year, then they found out that the city was destroyed. Shnamar says in the pasuk, Vahi b'shtei Esrei Shana, it was the 12th year by Syria on the 10th month, V'chamish l'chodesh, on the 5th of the month, V'galusenu, to our exile, Ba'ilai apaltim Yerushalayim, the fugitive came to me from Yerushalayim, Lamar saying, Hokso a year, that the city has been destroyed. And also Yom Shmuel Kiyam Sreifa, they made the day that we heard about the destruction of the city like the day the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. And V'nir and Dvarim Dvarav, my words are much more logical than his words, says Reb Shemin. Shani Omer, I say Al Rishon Rishon Val Achron Achron. Whatever's mentioned first in the pasuk, Thomas is mentioned first in the pasuk, and that's talking about the city being broken into. And the last thing being mentioned in the pasuk is talking about the destruction of the city. So that happened last. So it makes sense chronologically. For who Omer, he says Al Rishon Achron. Whatever's mentioned first in the pasuk actually happened later. The breach of the city happened later on than what actually was mentioned in the pasuk, because Val Achron Rishon, whatever was mentioned last in the pasuk, that actually happened.
Yeah.